Richard Arnold on behalf of the plaintiff.
Colin Powell on behalf of the defendants, TLS Solutions LLC, and Robert Becker.
All right, let's proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. This hearing's on the defendant / counter plaintiff's motion for summary judgment on our counterclaim. If you recall, Your Honor, we came before you a couple of months ago, right before our first trial setting in this case, saying that we had settled, but there was a problem with the plaintiff not wanting to sign the settlement agreement. And we had an understanding that there was a settlement. And then when we prepared the formal confidential settlement agreement and release, we were informed that Mr. Singh was not interested in signing it. And we had filed a motion to enforce the settlement. And at the hearing on that, you gave us the advice to file the current action, the counterclaim, and then summary judgment. So we've done that. Exhibit A to our motion for summary judgment is our summary judgment evidence, which is a August 9th, 2021 email from me to Mr. Laskin and Mr. Arnold with the terms of the settlement. Exhibit A is redacted because it is a confidential settlement agreement with the settlement amount, but the other material terms are present, including confidentiality, indemnity, and fulfillment of any bills, medical bills, liens, and attorney's fees from the proceeds settlements. And Mr. Laskin responded on August 10th, before the deadline that was established in the email, without any reservation, accepting the agreement, saying we have a settlement, please forward a release as soon as you can. And my email on page 11 of the record is the offer. Mr. Laskin's reply is acceptance of that offer. And so therefore we have a valid enforceable contract. The consideration is noted in the offer, which is the settlement proceeds. And Mr. Singh's refusal to sign the formalized settlement agreement that we sent is a material breach of that agreement. And therefore that brings us here today. And so we're asking the court to find that there was a settlement between the parties, that Mr. Singh has breached the settlement, and that the settlement should be enforced against him such that the terms that were contemplated by the parties are enforceable, including confidentiality, indemnity, and the full and final release of his claims in this underlying personal injury lawsuit. And because of the situation, my clients were forced to incur additional attorney's fees above and beyond litigating the personal injury matter by filing this breach of contract claim. And under the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, those attorney's fees are recoverable in a breach of contract cause of action. An affidavit with my firm's attorney fees are attached as Exhibit B to our motion for summary judgment, which can be found on page 14 and 15 of the record, laying out the attorney fees that were incurred prosecuting this counterclaim and this counterclaim only. And so we'd ask the court to grant the motion for summary judgment and to award the reasonable and necessary attorney fees that are listed in the affidavit.
Okay, response?
No opposition from the plaintiff, Your Honor.
Okay. Court will grant the summary judgment. Anything else today?
We have a hearing, another hearing.
Status conference, I think it is a case, you reset the case for trial in 2 weeks' time, I think it is. And I think your computer has generated a status conference for Wednesday. So
Yeah.
I would think we don't need to do that, but
Is this closed the entire case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Let me just, and let me tell you why we set the status conference then. So you kind of, and I'll move it. I don't want you to worry about it, but we're required now for the rest of the year at least, and it could be more with this Omicron variant to request a jury trial and a jury panel in advance. And we've been told for that particular week that we had to request them well in advance. And so we were just trying to find out if you were going to need a panel for that week, and so we could request it. So, but it sounds like on the Singh versus TLS solution, there's not the need for a status conference because you don't need a trial.
Correct, Your Honor.
Is that right, Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
And I don't recall specifically, Your Honor, but Colin, did you attach a proposed order for the court to sign already?
Yeah, I already printed it out unless
Oh.
there's something you wanted me to change.
I think we may need to submit a different one, Judge, because I think there isn't a space to award the attorney's fees, and that was an oversight on my part.
Can you resubmit it then?
Yes, I will.
In the order, if you could do the following, take notes on this if you don't mind.
You bet.
That this was heard on December 6th, 2021. And make sure you share it with Mr. Arnold. Fill in the amount of the attorney's fees and then e-file it and then email it to my court coordinator as well.
And then, Your Honor, just one question, and Colin's been fine throughout this, but Colin, once this is signed, what would be the expected turnaround time in terms of your company issuing a new check?
I would hope, within the same time period that we agreed on in the formal settlement agreement and release. I'll try to get it as quickly as possible from them, though.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And are you going to deduct the attorney's fees from the amount, or how is this working?
That was my plan, Your Honor.
Is that, Mr. Arnold, do you have an opposition to that?
No. No.
Okay. All right, guys, great to see you. Have a happy holidays.
Thanks, you too,
Thank you
Judge.
for your time, Your Honor.
Okay, you're still on YouTube.
Oh, I am? Okay. I'm just sending an email based on that hearing to get it off the status conference docket. Thank you for telling me.
Mhm.
Well, we have the next people coming in. When's our next hearing? It's not until 2:15. Well, there was a 2 o'clock. I wonder if that was canceled or what happened. Okay. And this is the last hearing, I think, because everything else is canceled. Unless the 2 o'clock people show up.